Hello, my name is Keshwani. That's K-E-S-H-W-A-N-I, Keshwani. We are here because we want to prepare for the TEAS. We have been solving math problems out of this book here, the study manual for the TEAS. If you do not own this book already, purchase one immediately. You're going to need it. The problem that we are about to solve is the one that you will find on page number 95. Please turn to it. On page number 95, and today is our lesson number 42. Today we will discuss the notion of pie chart. The problem that you see there on page number 95 deals with pie chart, except we are going to do that problem in the reverse order. In the book, they actually give you the pie chart and they simply ask you what grade is received, how many people receive a given grade, or as they put it, how many students received each letter grade, how many students receive a given grade, as I said. That's what they're asking here. We're going to do the problem in reverse order. So here's our problem. Our problem is this. We know how many students received each grade. Here are the grades. Where should we put them? Let's put them here. The grade A, B, C, D, and F. And F. And the number of students who received A is 4. Number of students who received B is 6. C, we are told, is 8. D, we are told, is 4. And F is 2. And what we're going to learn today is how to arrive at the pie chart from the raw data. This is the raw data that is given to us, and we're going to present this information. Let's say this is your raw data, and let's say you have to do some sort of a presentation in front of the people. I forget what software. There's a typical software people use. PowerPoint. There you go. Voila. And you want to present this information in the form of a pie chart in a PowerPoint presentation. How do we arrive at it? And of course, we just understand the concept. Just because the software does it all by itself doesn't mean that you do not need to understand the concept behind it. That's what we're doing here. We're learning concept. Of course, the manual work actually will be done by the computer. You just punch in the raw data and we'll give you the pie chart. It will pop right up in a nanosecond. But why do it in a nanosecond when we can do it in 10 minutes? That's the idea. So first thing we have to figure out is how many people there are altogether. Let's find out, shall we? 4 plus 6 is 10. 8 plus 2 is 10, and then another 4, that's 24. So total is 24. That's the first step. First step is to figure out what the total is. So let's look at A. A is 4 out of 24. Okay, keep listening. 4 out of 24. And if you divide top and bottom by 4, we get 1 out of 6. I need a room to give you a little sermon here. Where can I do it here? You must know for this exam, you must know your thirds and the sixth, and your quarters, I don't know how to spell eighth. E-I-G-H-T, there you go, your eighth. You must know your thirds and the sixth. You must know your quarters and the eighth. And we learned that on day number 8 and 9. If you have not watched those videos, day 8 and 9, make sure you watch those videos and learn your quarters, your eighths, your sixths, your thirds, your tenths, and your fifths. You must know the fraction form, you must know the equivalent decimal form, you must know the equivalent percentage form by heart. It makes life easier. So that's what we're going to need here. Do you understand? So 1/6 is what percentage? Let's find out, shall we? That's what we have to do. Pie chart represents categories in terms of percentages of the whole area of the circle. So we need to know what percentage of the circle is going to be depicted by A. Well, in other words, we have to figure out what 1/6 is in terms of percentage. Let's find out, shall we? We know 1/3 is approximately 33%. 1/3 is approximately 33%. Therefore, 1/6 is going to be half of that. 1/6 is simply half of 1/3. Half of 1/3 is 1/6. You see, 1 times 1 is 1 on the top, and on the bottom we're going to get 2 times 3, which is 6. So 1/6 it turns out is a half of a third. 1/6. So if you multiply this by half, you have to multiply that by half. So what is half of 33? Well, that's quite straightforward. We know half of 32 is 16. Half of 32 is 16. Look at 33 as 32 plus 1. And half of 32 is 16, and this is half. So this is 16.5%. 16.5%. So this is going to be represented by 16.5%. And we can no longer use the equal sign because it's not exactly 16.5%. It's not exactly 16.5% because 1/3 is not exactly 33%. 1/3 is 33.33%. This is not exactly 33%. So we have to replace this equal sign with approximately equal. Okay, that part is done. What I'm going to do next here is just to satisfy your curiosity as to why book calls this 16.7%. They do not say 16.5%. 16.5% would be 16.5%. The book says 16.7. If you look closely, it will say that A is 16.7%. And then they go on to multiply 16.7% of 24. Why is this 16.7? That's what we want to understand right now. Okay, pay attention. We're going to take a few minutes to understand why the book says 16.7 and we say 16.5. Why did we say 16.5? Because we want to make our life easier. We're trying to save time. We know 1/3 is 33%, about 33%, and half of 33 is half of 32 is 16, and another half and half of the remaining one is half, obviously. So half of 33 is 16.5. Why does the book say 16.7? Listen. Here's what goes on. Okay, listen carefully. 1/3 is 33.33%. That's what it is. 1/3 is 33.33%. Now we have to take a half of that. We're going to multiply this by half. So we have to multiply this by half. We have to take a half of this quantity. We have to take a half of that quantity. Okay, keep listening. What we're going to do is we're going to write 33. We're going to write 33 as 32 plus 1, and then we have a third. And we have to take a half of the whole thing. What is half of 32? Half of 32 is 16. And then what is half of 1? Half of 1 is just half. And what is half of 1/3? Half of 1/3 is 1/6. This is getting very technical, very nitty-gritty, but that's what it is. Keep listening. So now we have to add these two figures. So it's going to be 16, and then we take common denominator of 6, and this 2 will become 3 here because there are, so it's 16. So it's 16 plus 4/6, which is same as 16 plus 2/3, which is same as 16 and 2/3, and 16 and 2/3 is approximately same as 16.66 repeating percent. 16.66 repeating percent, which the book rounds it up as 16.7. There you go. That's where the journey goes. Journey starts from here, and it all ends all the way there. And they do all of that. They do all of that from here to here without providing any explanation whatsoever as to why 1/6 happens to be 16.7% approximately. But what I'm trying to make you understand is that you must not make your life miserable. You don't have to make your life miserable in the exam for one very simple reason. You do not have the bloody time to play around with this like this. Keep it simple. Just pretend it is 16.5%. Very simple, very easy to remember. 1/3 is 33%. Forget about 33.33%. Okay, this is not a rocket science. You're not doing open heart surgery. Just keep it simple. 1/3 is 33%, and therefore half of 33 is 16.5. Got it? So far, so good. Let's move on then. We are done with all of this thing. I'm going to give you a second in case you need to pause the video, and then I'm going to erase everything. This was a one-time deal. We don't do this every time, okay? Let's move on then. We are told that B is 6. 6 is very easy. B, we are told, is 6. 6 out of a total of 24. That's very easy. 6 out of 24, that's just 1/4. If you divide top and bottom by 6, it's 1/4, which is exactly 25%. So that was very easy. C, we are told, is 8. Well, 8 is also going to be very easy. 8 out of 24. 8 out of 24, well, if we divide top and bottom by 8, we get 1/3, which is approximately 33%. Like I said, do not make a fuss. Do not go around saying 33.333. Nobody's going to be impressed by that. You're simply going to be wasting your time. Do you understand? B is 4. Well, right here we did the 4. 4 out of 24, which is same as 1/6. And again, what percentage is 1/6? Is very simple to remember. 1/3 is 33%, and a sixth is a half of a third. One more time, a sixth is a half of a third. And if a third is 33%, then a sixth must be half of 33. Half of 33 is 16.5. But we can no longer use the exact equal sign here, so that's why I'm ready here. It's not exactly equal to, it's approximately equal to 16.5%. Because even when they did all this work and they gave you as a 16.7%, you realize that even that part was not exact. It's impossible to write exact. The exact number is 16.66666 is repeating, which they rounded it up as 0.7. So my argument is that if you're going to round the bloody thing up anyway, if you're going to approximate the bloody thing anyway, why waste so much time? Just say 16.5 is close enough. Let's move on to the F. F is 2 out of 6. 2 out of 24. Okay, listen carefully. 2 out of 24. 2 is half of 4. So the percentage of the people who receive grade F will be half the percentage of the people who receive D. Because it's 4 out of 24. This is 2 out of 24. So this is going to boil down to 1 out of 12. And as you can see, 1 out of 12 is half of 1 out of 6. And we already know what 1 out of 6 is. 1 out of 6 is 16.5%. So this is going to be approximately half of 16 is 8, and half of half is 1/4. That's all. It's about 8%. That's all we need. We have our information now. We have our percentages. We are ready to draw our pie chart. Are you ready? Let's do it then. This is the work we have to do. Again, one more time, the steps I'm going to go through very quickly. If you're given the raw data, the very first thing you have to do is figure out the total number of observations. These are called observations, these are called data point, whatever you want to call them. So we first figure out how many observations we have. We have 24 observations. Then we have to figure out the respective fractions. And from the fractions, we convert them into percentage. And once we have the percentages, we can depict them on the pie chart. A pie chart, of course, is a circle, and the entire circle represents 100%. And that's what we're going to do here. I need the room, but I don't want to erase this part. One more time, you must know your thirds, you must know your sixths, you must know your quarters, you must know your eighths, and you're going to find that information on day 8 and 9. So here's our pie chart. Okay, mine is not going to come out as pretty and as nice as you see in the book because I'm doing it freehand. You understand? But it's going to be close enough. I'm going to start out with very simple. Let's start out with something simple, which is 25%. 25%, that's your B. So this is B. This part is B, which is 25%. Okay, now keep listening. We need 33%. How can we do 33%? 16.5%, 16.5%. 16.5% is a half of a third. We have to figure out somehow third. This up to here is 25%. Up to here is the 25%. Let's do this in thirds. So this is our line that I'm using here, and if we divide this thing, this is 25. This whole thing is 25, and if we divide this into 3 equal parts, listen very carefully. If we divide it into 3 equal parts, each part will represent approximately 8%, which is what this part is right here, 8.25%. You see? Listen, watch what happens. You see? Approximately 8.25. So 8.25 plus 8.25 plus 8.25. 8 times 3 is 24. 24 and 3/4. 24 and 3/4 is 25%, which is this circle right here, quarter of a circle. In other words, a third of this part represents 8%. So that's this part right here, F. This is your F. This is 8%. This is approximately 8.25%, and this is 25%. How much is 8 plus 25? Shall we find out? 8 plus 25. 25 plus 8, what do you think it's going to be? Well, that's your 33% right here. That's your third. As you can see, this part right here up to here. Let me do it in a different color. right here. That's the third, which is your C. This is C, which is 33%. So that part is done. C is done. Let's move on. C is done. We took care of this thing. And now, okay, watch what happens. This is 16.5%, and this is 16.5%. That's the sixth, and that's the sixth. So 6 plus a 6 represent the third, and the third is here. This is the third part here. So this is 8.5. There you go. This is 8.5. This is 8.25 rather. This is 8.25%. This is 8.25% approximately, and that's your 16.5. That's your 16.5. That's either A. Let's call it A. We could call it A or we could call it D. Makes no difference. Which is 16.5%. Now we have to do a D, which is very easy. Again, we break this into 3 parts, and each of these represent each of these third of the circle represents approximately 8.25%. Approximately 8.25% because, as we said it already, because 8 plus 8 plus 8 is 24, and a quarter plus quarter plus quarter is going to give you 3/4. So what we get here is 24 and 3/4. What we should have gotten is 25% because it represents quarter of the circle. A quarter of the circle should represent 25% of the circle, but it represents. But we came up with 24 and 3/4, which is close enough. Okay, in terms of our approximation. So there you go. That's your F right here. Pick one part and call it F. I'm going to call this part F here. This is your F, which is 8.25%. And then this remaining portion that we see here, these two remaining portions here, what can we, these two remaining portions that we see here, it represents the D, 16.5%. That's it, we're done. That's what the graph looks like. Now you know how to come up with a pie chart from raw data. Okay? I'll see you tomorrow. Bye now.